Caitlin, and I'm a survivor of spiritual abuse. Throughout my life, God and the Bible were used against me to control my behavior, isolate me, and fill me with shame and self-hatred. I felt like I was the only one who had experienced this, and I didn't know how to talk about my experience with others. After a few years, I started to share my story online, and I realized that I wasn't the only one who has experienced this kind of abuse. That's when I heard about Tears of Eden and the work they do to support survivors. I started to listen to the podcast from Tears of Eden called Uncertain, and I love hearing the interviews and being able to learn more. It gives language to my experience and helps me feel less alone.
I didn't have a term for it for a long time. I just knew that something wasn't right, and it was having a very negative impact on my relationship with God, but I didn't have the words to go with it for a long time. It was soul crushing to do it alone, because any sort of abuse, you really run the risk that people don't believe you. It seems like most abuse, unless it is overt physical abuse, most abuse is just not believed. But there were a handful of people who are like, oh no, I've experienced that too. I'm disillusioned with this as well. So I started a Facebook group of a handful of friends, and one of them happened to know who you are, and he added you to that group. And that was the first time I'd ever encountered a nonprofit that focused strictly on healing from spiritual abuse.
Well, my own experience of spiritual abuse started long before I had a term for it. I always just thought of it as people are sinners, and you get sinners together, and good things, wonderful things can happen, but bad things happen too. But over time, I began to see something more than simply bad behavior. I began to see a certain kind of pattern, particularly among church leadership, sometimes among very charismatic and dominant personalities, and began to wonder what's going on here. And I started looking for help, and came across Tears of Eden through a mutual friend. And it has been really, as much as I've tried to encourage Tears of Eden and talk to people about it and connect people to it, I've also been helped by it profoundly.
I didn't realize how significantly my experience of spiritual abuse was shaping my life. I tried to deny it and move on for so long, but it didn't work. Finding Tears of Eden helped me reclaim my voice and my agency and start healing. They've helped so many others do the same. I really hope that other survivors of spiritual abuse will connect with the Tears of Eden community so that they can do the same.
I would say that before I encountered Tears of Eden, I didn't have a very large vocabulary for what spiritual abuse was. I am in the abuse advocacy and trauma recovery field, but spiritual abuse was not something that I had delved into very much before. Kind of stumbling upon your work really gave me a vocabulary for it and helped me to understand it better. And in the midst of learning about it with the interest of helping my own clients and people in my life that I know, I kind of discovered that some of the things felt really true to me in my story, and it kind of woke me up to the themes of abuse that were happening in my own life at the time.